Hey guys, big news this week, okay? The YouTube CEO actually stepped down. Susan has stepped down. And she's actually being replaced by a longtime coworker. And you wouldn't guess, but they somehow got somebody potentially worse. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I've seen a lot about him. He's Neil Mohan. Apparently, he was in a different section of YouTube, and he was actually responsible for getting the dislike button removed on YouTube. I want to see you guys' thoughts because he's also a big NFT guy. Just all red flags all around, but I want to see what you guys think about that.
I think I want to hear you try to pronounce the former CEO's last name.
Wojcicki. How's that?
Jicky?
I don't think that was right,
Wojcicki.
but I liked how you just
Wojcicki.
completely said just like Susan stepped down.
Don't worry about it.
Um, um, I don't know. I mean, I feel like we don't know all that much about like what he actually did. Like he probably was like announcing stuff because he was in charge of stuff previously, but the hope is that he tries to balance more of the priority towards like keeping creators happy because at the end of the day they're going to create on the platforms that benefit them the most. Right now YouTube has like the largest audience available to them, but other social platforms are like TikTok, Snapchat, all these other platforms are developing creator funds as well. So I feel like as long as they prioritize keeping creators happy while still keeping the advertisers happy, because that's definitely something they have to balance too. But I don't know. I feel like it's tough to judge the guy, especially just day one. But I definitely get your hesitation. NFTs have some pretty bad connotations, and if he tries to make YouTube into an NFT marketplace, then shit's gonna hit the fan real quick. I feel like.
Yeah, so I got a lot of my stances from it. I heard a lot of my information from Young. Yeah, I know we mentioned him before, but he's a really good gaming commentator. He does a lot of that type of news, just like we do. And he did mention a lot of that stuff. But I've seen other stuff about Neil Mohan. I believe he was one of the chief people to kind of push forward the shorts ideas for YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something. I know
I like that. I think shorts are great as long as they don't push too far in that direction. Like Instagram tried deleting the Instagram feed. Like I feel like the way they're doing it now is like somewhat tasteful. Where like if you want to dive down the shorts rabbit hole, you can. If you want to completely avoid it,
It's like a
you
separate
can do that
tab or
too.
whatever, which is good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is what Susan had to say about Mohan in her announcement. She said, and I'm getting this from Forbes. Uh, she said, he has a wonderful sense for our product, our business, our creator and user communities, and our employees. Neil will be a terrific leader for YouTube.
Well, if
But,
he
we
demonetized
got to
all the
take this into
creators, then
account. I feel like under Susan Wojcicki that YouTube has had a lot of controversies, especially amongst content creators because of the adpocalypse, all the demonetization, all the very strict bans without appeals. So I just don't know if I see that praise coming from her, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah,
right. I feel like the biggest red flag there is her saying like he has a really great sense of like what our creator community needs. That if like there's creators that lost like 90% of their income overnight when they have the whole adpocalypse thing happen. So hopefully I feel like they've reined it back a little bit since then. I feel like they realized they overstepped a little bit, but I don't know, Curtis and Tushi, you guys want to jump in yet, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say anything. Oh, okay. As long as he's not pushing the getting rid of the dislike button, that kind of like mentality where he doesn't want any like negativity about YouTube videos or controversy coming up for content creators, I think I'd be okay with it. But I mean, like you said with the adpocalypse, that was pretty annoying. Every video I came up with was almost like the beginning, every like two ads. It's like almost a minute of ads in the beginning, and then you'd have two ads throughout like halfway of the video that you're watching if it was a longer clip, and then by the end of it you had another ad. So it was just
Yeah, one other thing. Going off of that, I believe he was also responsible for some of the forced advertisements. You know how some ads you can't do the 5-second skip anymore? It's just
Yeah,
like
it's the
full 15
15-second non-skippable.
Yes, I
Yeah.
think he pushed for that as well. Again, this is all hearsay. I heard a lot of it from Young, yeah, but he's a pretty credible source from what I've seen in the past. I'd like to kind of get like the different perspectives from the different areas of YouTube. I know we all watch YouTube for different reasons. Like I'm
for
watching
sure.
a lot of gameplay playthroughs and things like that, or like tutorials. I'm sure you guys have your own perspectives. Have you noticed that the YouTubers that you watch were really heavily negative towards Susan's YouTube leadership or otherwise? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so a few channels that I follow, they like how YouTube you can like in the subscriber list, there's like all the videos, and then the creators can make like a paragraph of like it's basically just a description of like how they're feeling and stuff as like
It's like a post
part of their
on YouTube
videos.
as opposed
Right,
to a video.
yeah, right. And no, they've been like really pushing for like subscribers to subscribe to them because their videos haven't been recommended in the page where YouTube videos are supposed to be, like the first page in the YouTube app. And so I feel like, I mean, it's bad for the content creators, and also it just puts more support on the watchers themselves to actually support these channels. And so there's kind of like a yin yang there where it's like, yeah, creators can't have to like push out their content more to their viewers, but at the same time, YouTube shouldn't block them for from just showing up on the homepage or whatever. Which
Yeah,
is
definitely.
fucked up in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen very similar things where content creators would just straight up call out YouTube, be like, "What is going on? My videos
Yeah.
are just even for people who have the bell thing notified, like they're still
Exactly,
not getting
yeah.
those notifications."
Yeah, I feel like subscribing doesn't mean what it used to in terms of like, 10 years ago, like your entire feed in YouTube was all the people you subscribe to. And it might throw in like a few recommendations here and there, but like the only way to get like a lot of recommended videos was like under the YouTube video that you were watching. It would like show more recommended videos like that. But now it's just fully curated. And I think it probably takes into your subscribe to a little bit in terms of like who they're going to push to, but I feel like it definitely trends more towards like what's trending or your interest, which again kind of goes into the whole how TikTok and Instagram Reels operates, which I don't know is if it's all that beneficial at all necessarily. Because
Did you guys ever notice, like every once in a while, like probably once every 3 months or something, maybe more, that all of a sudden your YouTube recommendations would just get like completely changed, and it would only recommend like things that were uploaded like one day ago from like soccer highlights or something random, just like the most popular thing.
yeah, I feel like they do that sometimes. I feel like it's more correlated with like big events. So like World Cup, they're just gonna put a fuckload of World Cup stuff in the in your.
No, I'm saying like your
so
whole
that you're
feed, like
interested in it.
like half of your feed just becomes whatever's popular. Like what's the newest Mr. Beast video, and it's like nothing. It's like your subscriptions. You're like, oh, posted 2 or 3 months ago by a content creator you watch, and then there's something posted 2 days ago by Mr. Beast you've never followed or something, or a $300,000 sandwich versus $10 sandwich. And that's just like half your feed, and you're like, I don't care about this, I don't care about this, don't recommend. It just keeps showing up. It's like it's just trying to push it in your
I
face.
feel like that doesn't actually not recommend you to anything because they'll still pop up.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it is with a lot of social media now too. Because no matter what you do, even like the ads, like why am I seeing this ad? The shit just keeps popping up no matter what. So I don't know if that has anything to do with specifics to see who was leading YouTube, or if it's just like a general policy that kind of just went with everybody else. So
I don't think we'll ever know who's responsible for those things. It's just
No,
too wide.
It's a massive it's a business bureaucracy, like corporate thing. Like it's all down to like their algorithm in terms of like how they determine which content to show to people, and they change that constantly. So like that's when you'll notice things in your feed change. But I don't know.
I just assume it's like the InGen Corporation from Jurassic Park, where it's like, yeah, there might be one bad person, but there's probably going to be like 12 other evil scientists working in the background, just trying to figure out how they can royally fuck up something. So
yeah, there's been people that have done like experiments on it where like they'll only watch dog videos on their YouTube account, and then all that they'll get recommended is dog videos. So like it works to some extent in terms of like the things you show interest to, it'll recommend more of that. But it's not a perfect system, so like you're still going to get recommended things you don't actually want to watch.
10,000 degree knife versus a house or something stupid.
Or
Yeah.
watch me melt this with this new lava generator.
Yeah.
All right, I think we can start moving on to a little bit more game oriented
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about
speaking
Young
of,
and I was, I've been scrolling through YouTube. I was watching some other videos, and he actually brought up something we had talked about last time, which was Suicide Squad. And we see now more of the gameplay side. We know that it requires online for the whole time that you're playing it. Yeah, I know this is heavily disputed whether it's good or not. And it looks like a gigantic grind fest, just like Marvel's Avengers game was. Young, I brought this up. And I gotta say, I agree, because it looks like a lot of those other mobile games where you have like a party and you gotta like collect loot to fucking be good at the game. It just does not look good for the amount of money that they're spending into it.
Yeah, and I watched the video that you put into our chat, and not even to say like that with the grinding and all of that, I can definitely see it, but the gameplay itself just doesn't look appealing. So like if you have Captain Boomerang flying around and teleporting and roping, it's like, I know he said in the video too, it's like each super villain or superhero doesn't really have any like specific power set to him. It's like, okay, Captain Boomerang he's just a guy with a boomerang, and then he's got a shotgun in the video game. But they show him in combat, and he's like teleporting through the air and doesn't even have to land, just blasting away. It's like, okay, now this is just kind of like a grindy shooter fest where you're just going back and forth, just killing enemies, and like, I can see it getting boring after a very short time.
It's like Batman shows up and he's about to use a signature move, and he just pulls out a shotgun.
Yeah, pretty much.
I also watched the video, a short clip of it, and he compared the Suicide Squad to Arkham Knight and like the Arkham series and everything. And in those video games, you actually feel like Batman, and like you're using all of his tech and all that stuff. Whereas in Suicide Squad, you're jumping around and shooting. It's like, it's a very generic third-person looter shooter, and it just doesn't encapsulate the idea of becoming these supervillains that we've come to love in some cases. So
It kind of just seems like a rip-off mobile game heading into it, at least from what I've seen. So
Yeah.
Have they released how much it is?
Full price on
probably
a
$70.
Snowman.
Oh, it's $60 to $70. That's so bullshit. Like, again, Marvel's event. If they're making like a Marvel Avengers similar game, I feel like that's such a fucking L. Especially given that they've already said that that's not successful. Like, Marvel has come out and said, like, that developer came out and said, like, this didn't work.
Yeah.
So why would you create the same damn thing? It doesn't make any sense.
I think it's a cool concept. So, I mean, so is Avengers, but I think it's just poorly executed to the point where I think they have the wrong idea of how to go about doing it. Instead of making it a just complete grind fest, have it be kind of towards like almost like the League of Villains having like their own plot to kill the superheroes, which I think might be kind of cool. And then you can play together like a co-op campaign or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course you can have an open world and loot, do whatever the hell you want, but the way it looks right now, it looks like absolute shit. So
yeah. Well, again, like the whole, like like you said, the idea is good, like in terms of having a Suicide Squad game, but the execution of like not having each individual character have their own unique like feel to them and like a reason to play them over somebody else. Like, everybody feels the same, then you might as well not even make separate characters. Like, you might as well just have one character and build around one type of thing. So
did you see the part, Connor, with King Shark swimming through the air? He had like some wrist bandages on. I don't know if it was like a.
I just listened to it in the background. I didn't get to see the actual video footage itself.
Well, they had Captain Boomerang like teleporting back and forth midair. Yeah. They have Harley Quinn. She's got like this. There's this little like robot floating through the air, and then she just grapples to it. So she's just like swinging back and forth midair, flipping around, doing shots. And then King Shark has like these wristbands on. He's just doing this through the air, swimming around, like going, like flying around, trying to attack people. I was like, this just
King Shark is a shark.
So the actual like game functionality is the same across all the characters. They just basically reskin it.
Yeah,
right.
and
So, like,
that's exactly what I'm
model.
saying. And the way they're like moving around too is almost like, I mean, I haven't played Apex Legends a lot, but the way your like combat looks super fast, where you're like sliding down, hopping up into the sky. And it's all in third person. That's what the Suicide Squad combat looked like, at least. It just seemed it didn't seem right.
Generic.
I actually
Yeah.
heard that they scrapped a Superman game to make the Suicide Squad game, and it's like
Of course
I
they
would
did.
rather way have a boss ass Superman game versus a Suicide Squad game. Like, I don't know who in their right mind was saying, "Oh yeah, let's make a Suicide Squad game instead."
We were literally talking about this a few weeks ago, like on the podcast. We were like,
Yeah.
why isn't there a new Superman game that's like Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man esque,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that type
Yeah.
of game? I know you have to make it like either a worldly level or like a cosmic level to like make it make sense for Superman, because that's like his domain and where he'll find challenges. But
I think
don't
the
know.
marketing team just tries to go off whatever's popular at the time. So they're like, "Oh, Suicide Squad is more recent than Superman, so let's go with that." That's probably
I don't know how
exactly.
you make that decision.
Could you imagine like just a battle out between General Zod and Superman, and then you're like button mashing to like snap General Zod's neck or something like that, like they would in God of War? Like
Yeah.
you're doing like the actual battle, you're like flying into each other, and then there's lasers coming out of your eyes, and then you're like deflecting everything. I think that would be awesome.
It'd be hard to
Definitely.
make, but it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you
fine,
guys
but
remember
it's
how we
hard
were
to
talking
make.
about how I thought remakes were shit in the last one?
Yeah.
Or not
Yes.
remakes, remasters. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saints
Yeah.
Row came out, and it did horrible. Apparently,
I
it
was
took them
excited
It was a
for that.
remaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it a remaster or remake? Do you remember? Curtis?
Actually, hold on, let me take a look at this.
Yeah, it apparently cost them $100 million to make it, and
Holy shit.
they have not earned any money on it yet.
I feel like I haven't seen
can't-
anything about it either. Like, there's no
How do you spend
marketing
100
about
million
it
on
and
a
all that
remake?
stuff. Right.
Don't ask me, man. I don't know. I got no clue.
Who makes Saints Row? You guys know?
Developed by Volition and published by Deep Silver.
Okay.
It was
I
a
don't know any
reboot of the
those.
Saint Rose series. And the
Is it a
fifth main
reboot? Like, is it a
installment.
brand new game?
It's a reboot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so reboot is a brand new game though. Like that's
Yeah.
like God of War 2018 was a reboot of the God of War franchise.
I would consider the reboot of God of War to be vastly different from something like Saints Row, because it's not like the God of War reboot tried to retread on old ground. It was completely new. This one seemed to be more of like a soft reboot, where it's like
Okay.
we run the same game
Yeah.
but make it significantly different and a better engine, and that doesn't work quite as well with something like Saints Row, because it's not as story heavy as God of War. There's not that progression, right? There's no progression
Yeah.
that you're going to get from Saints Row, the reboot.
It's kind of like an open world GTA style. So, I mean, having kind of like it was somewhat different, but it just tanked right away. Didn't even really make it. Kind of like almost like Cyberpunk.
When was the first
think
release of it?
Saints Row came out in 2022 sometime. Take a look
So they're
when it
just
came
starting
out.
to like release the revenue numbers from it now in terms of like it
Yeah,
didn't
and they
make
have
any
not
money.
made their money back.
Gotcha. Jesus.
'Cause I was like, I don't remember seeing a Saints Row come out recently, but
Mhm.
I guess it makes sense that I didn't even realize one came out last year because it doesn't sound like anybody
Right.
gave a shit. So
I think what came out recently was like the CEO was talking about their
oh, okay.
thing, and they were like, "Yeah, yikes."
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's just like Saints Row 5 is the official association with it, but it came out in end of August last year.
I mean, they spent $100 million on it. You can't say they underinvested in it. They just didn't use that $100 million very well, apparently.
Yeah.
Like, how much on average does it cost to make like a good game? Like, how much did Elden Ring cost? Like do they even? Like,
I'll look it up.
Is that stuff even like public info? I don't even know if I've really seen it. I've always seen it associated with movies, but I've never seen it associated with games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It says it cost $200 million to be made.
Elden Ring?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
it
insane,
cost
man.
200 million, and they made apparently 6.85 billion on it.
Jesus Christ.
They made a profit.
Holy shit.
Folks.
Yeah, and not to get off topic here if we were to continue Saints Row, but since we are on Elden Ring, we have the preview of the Shadow of the Erd Tree DLC
Yes.
coming out soon.
Yes.
So I want to know you guys' question, if you think it's going to be paid for, or if you think it'll be like a free content update similar to like the Coliseum update, or
it'll be paid for.
you think so?
Yeah, every other DLC they've ever made was paid.
How much you think it is? Like $15?
It depends. I don't know. I have no idea
Okay.
the scale because all of
Yeah.
the other From Software games have always been that linear level design, whereas this is much more open world. So a
Right.
DLC of this magnitude, where you're potentially not only improving this huge, massive base map, because me and Curse are the only ones who've really played it, right?
Yeah,
I haven't played it
haven't
too
played
much.
it.
The map is probably one of the largest and most in-depth maps I've ever seen in a game, other than maybe like GTA, but that's because it's like been running for so long. At launch, Elden Ring has just an enormously complex map.
Mhm.
And if they are going to expand on like the different things to do in that base map and potentially expand on it, that could be a whole nother game basically.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they do.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I'm assuming the game has like fast travel, so you're just not like spending hours and hours just like
Yeah.
walking to different
Yeah, there's
places.
fast travel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
You
always,
also have
I'm
a
always game
horse
to pay
that
for
you
it,
can
DLC.
that you can summon.
I'm always game to pay for DLC as long as it's like quality DLC and it's not just like skins and shit. But
Yeah, but-
from everything I've read about this, it sounds like it's like more like a true content update and more actual things to play through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you,
So
you
the-
kind of bitched out on the game though, Noah. So
I did.
the DLC's kind of out of the question.
I'm not playing it. I never said I never said I'd buy the Elden Ring. I'm saying I'm game to pay for DLC
No,
for
I
any
know.
game.
I'm just giving you shit. Lasted 5 minutes in the game, you're like, yeah,
No, not
I'm
for
not
me.
playing this.
We don't have to dive down that rabbit hole again.
You know, from what I'm looking at here, I don't recall any of that image that they have. I don't recall any of those images. So I'm not going to spoil anything, but the tree was in the first game. Obviously, it was that big golden one. That looks to be similar. So, but I don't remember those structures being there like that. So I'm thinking it might be a whole new area.
I don't. We don't have anything on it right now. I know. I can't remember. One review on the DLC said it might be just like a massive single player expansion. So it could be that where they're just adding something to the map, and then a little bit multiplayer where you can still do something. But I'm not sure.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say they're going to vastly improve the multiplayer setting because they kind of released the Coliseum one unfinished. Like, there wasn't really any reward to doing it other than just it being fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're going to bring Covenants back, which is like, so you join a Covenant, right? You already do that in the game. You have a faction that you can join by doing certain quests. And in previous games, you got rewards for like killing people of other factions.
Okay.
I think they're going to bring that back because that was super fun. But I have no clue what the rest of it would be. I'm really excited, though. I'm hyped for that. I've been waiting. I'll be like, oh, God, I got my ass kicked on the first playthrough, and now I got to try and play it again when the DLC comes out. Maybe Lance
say
and I
when it's
can
gonna come
pick
out?
it back up.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, how long is this gonna take for it to be developed and released? You guys know?
No clue.
Nope.
Okay.
No idea.
All we know is that it's in development, and they released the tree and said, "Please be patient with us and give us this report." And that's basically all the tweet said. So we're kind of just waiting on like an actual content update on what they're going to include.
Okay.
So, but yeah. Speaking of waiting for content, have you guys ever heard of Beyond Good and Evil 2
No.
or the
No.
first one at all?
Nope.
Nope.
So the first one came out in the early 2000s, and this is being developed by Ubisoft. It's been about 10 years since this game they initially said they were developing it. So this is now taking the place of like the longest game that has been in like waiting in development. But with all like the Ubisoft layoffs and complications they've been having, for this game development, it kind of seems like it's going to go into the dumpster now. So they
Boo.
recently released with the company that the lead manager was leaving the company. Didn't say why, had no comment, just left. Guillaume Carmona was his name, if I pronounced that right. But Ubisoft in France is also under investigation. They've had an unprecedented number of developers experiencing burnout and going on sick leave. So they're kind of being investigated to see how they're treating their employees. And people at, like, there's no comment on anything. They're not saying anything, probably for legal reasons. But it's like,
Yeah.
they've been working on the game for 10, 11 years now. And now it's coming out that they're under investigation for burning out their employees, and they're like, yeah, our employees' health concerns are at the utmost importance, and we're doing everything we can. So it's like,
Yeah, sure. Okay.
is this game just gonna disappear since people have been waiting? But I mean, it did have a big, it had like a cinematic trailer in E3 in 2018, I believe it was. And so it was like getting ready to develop in the game actually looks pretty cool. But I don't know if that's gonna, because I know, isn't Ubisoft developing another Assassin's Creed, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
do you
there was.
think?
They're always developing an Assassin's Creed, bro. They're always developing
I know.
one. They're probably developing 3 currently. And if
The
they're not
Russian
developing
nesting
3, they're-
doll. There's always another one in development.
Yeah, right. I mean, they're all usually pretty good.
We actually did mention
Aside.
the strike that was going on at the French Ubisoft headquarters.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it makes sense. This is the natural progression of things. You can only treat workers for shit like for so long, and
Yeah.
until something happens.
I know
Especially
there's
if
a
you
good
spend
amount of
10
people.
years building something like this, and
Mhm.
then
Yeah.
it goes into the dumpster. It's just like so demoralizing. You just invest so much time, and even if you're spending those 14-hour days, you're like, at least at the end of it, we'll get to make something really cool. And to not even get that payoff, it's just got to be like the worst feeling.
Yeah,
Gosh, I
and
remember hearing something similar about Anthem. If you guys remember that game.
Oh yeah.
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 yep.
Yeah, like it was
forgot
just
that
in
game
development
exists.
hell for so long, and they were like, "Guys, we gotta do something." And then they're like, "Yeah, not in the budget. Sorry, release it, bitch."
Mhm.
Like they were gonna have like moving, like floating HQs or whatever that your characters would stay in, and like they would actually move around the map, and the higher ups are like, so you just get like one stationary HQ.
I was
That's
gonna ask, was the first Beyond Good and Evil like big enough to even warrant a sequel? I'm assuming it has to be like a pretty
think it
decent
had a
sized
pretty good-
fan base in order for them
Yeah,
to continue this journey for the sequel.
Let me look up because I believe they actually have a pretty good fan base. Do you guys know what the game's about?
No.
I mean, I haven't heard about it
This
before.
game
This
looks old as shit.
the first one.
Yeah, this is an old game.
It's like 2003, I believe it was the first one.
No wonder I never
It was
heard
like
about it.
PS2 days or what is that?
Good. Yeah, good and evil one. So I can't even really find anything. It's $10 on Steam, apparently.
How is this the game they decided like deserved the
That's what I'm
upgrade
saying.
to Unreal Engine like 5?
Right.
Like,
Right.
why not just have an
Well-
indie studio do this?
It came out in 2003, and it's actually got very positive reviews on Steam, but the reviews are around 3,000, so I'm assuming at the time it was a smaller game when it came out. But the concept
Big
is really
hype train.
cool.
Big hype train.
But I'm sure you could play it on different platforms than Steam. But the game is like it's like a space, not space exploration, but you basically your home base is set up in space, and you have this big starship that you have, and then you go down into like the city of Ganesh, where it's like almost like a cyber city, and you're
Okay.
basically a crew of like space pirates, and you go around, and there's like an online open world that you can do where you can join your friends, and I know they released a gameplay update video where you're not tethered to your friends at all, and you can basically go off and do whatever the hell you want. And it looks like the concept looked really cool, and the starting out looked pretty cool.
You're telling me this is Ubisoft's competition to the Cyberpunk hype. This is what they were planning on doing.
Honestly.
But I mean, all they said right here is, given the length of the development cycle with Beyond Good and Evil 2, the development team is undergoing well-being assessments through a third party for preventative measures and to evaluate where additional support may be needed. What the hell does that mean?
And they
Probably
really
some-
did it.
Probably some like cubicle crawl shit like that was going on with Blizzard.
God, man, I just don't treat your employees like shit, okay? Don't even bother
Moral of the
releasing
story.
trailers if you're gonna do this kind of crap.
Yeah.
God, sick of it.
Yeah, probably best not to take from Blizzard's playbook on workplace harassment.
Yeah,
No.
right.
But
Speaking of big companies, I know Microsoft. We haven't seen anything bad coming out of them yet. For treatment-wise, it seems like they're doing okay. I know.
No, they laid off a bunch of their workers. Remember?
Oh yeah, laying off, but I
laying
haven't
off
seen
and
anything about.
treating people shitty is two different
That's
things.
It was like
different,
10,000 people. That's a lot of people without jobs.
Maybe they're just cleaning house,
it's
man. I
not
don't
good
know.
to lay off people, but it's not having them work.
I'm talking
steady
work
or-
environment.
Hold on, I'm
here.
sure I can prove you wrong. I'll be right back.
Go ahead.
It's possible.
But-
It's possible, but
Regardless, we want to talk about the Blizzard Activision deal. Not necessarily the terms of the deal, but Microsoft, Phil Spencer kind of talked about the plans for Call of Duty. And I know Tusha had some stuff on there and wanted to see what our thoughts were.
Yeah, so I read an article today, and basically Microsoft's plan with Call of Duty, if they go through with this acquisition, is to treat it similar to Minecraft, where PlayStation players or Xbox players won't get exclusive like skins, guns, or anything of that sort. So they're going to treat it where it's like players in PlayStation, they won't have a worse game than Xbox players. So it's basically going to be the same game throughout each platform, which I think is the right way to go, because honestly, Xbox exclusive content is just stupid in my opinion. I honestly think this is a good way to go. Let's see what I have here. So the marketing deal between Call of Duty and PlayStation ends next year, and so we're just basically waiting on if Microsoft wants to go in and grab it and stuff. And there's been questions about if they're going to turn Call of Duty into an Xbox Game Pass exclusive. So just your thoughts on that and your opinions.
Yeah, I know I watched the video that was in the article that you linked to us,
Uh-huh.
and he was basically like, she's like, is there any chance that you're doing any type of content exclusives, anything like that specific to Xbox? He's basically just like, hell no. We're going to make
Yeah.
a game that everybody can enjoy. He's like, we get the type of industry you're in, but we just want one game the same on everywhere. And he's like, we're talking to NVIDIA and Nintendo, so I don't know if they're going to bring it out on Switch or what the hell they're doing, but
I think they're planning
it's
to,
cool
yeah.
to see that. And he did say too, with Minecraft, if I can remember the numbers when they acquired it, he said that the player base was around 20 to 30 million players. And then when Microsoft took it over, the player base is now up to like 100 million, I think he said.
Okay.
So maybe we'll see a positive outlook with COD. I don't know.
oh,
All right, I'm back. I did see a few things, but it looks like they had a outside law firm investigate to make sure that their harassment policies and like conduct was becoming of like a larger industry. So, and it just recently came into fruition. So they're basically changing a lot of their policies to be more in step with how like a company actually should act. So it looks like they're definitely leading the way in terms of being a safe environment for people and not being.
See, you're not supposed to be
creeps and
so
harassment.
pessimistic all the time.
Hey, I can still say when I'm wrong, though. It looks like
Yeah,
Microsoft
it's
is
true.
doing a good job.
Yeah, but in terms of like Call of Duty, I like the fact that they're taking an even approach across all the different game systems, because it's irritating as fuck when you're trying to play the beta for something and it's like, oh, this is only on PlayStation 5. Or
Yeah.
on PlayStation. But I'm just glad that they're not trying to make it an Xbox exclusive or make it a bunch of separate different games. Now they just have to make a better game. So we'll see if that actually ends up happening.
I
Yeah, we'll
wonder
see.
Modded
if
Minecraft Realms, that's what we need.
I wonder if with this, if that'll kind of like, I don't know the terms of the agreement, but I wonder if that'll make it a little more easier to accept the deal if they're even thinking about it. Because I know that was their biggest thing for Sony was like, yeah, fuck this. We're not having Xbox be the exclusive of Call of Duty. I'm losing that franchise to PlayStation.
Right.
So I think if they're willing to cooperate a lot more and just make the game, I think it'd be cool to see how it works out.
I don't know, man. PlayStation can't say shit. They have so many exclusive
It's true.
games to PlayStation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know
Xbox has
Call of
kind of
Duty's
been getting
bigger,
shafted
but-
with the exclusives.
Yeah, which is on them to like get better exclusives, but
Halo 5.
Halo Infinite? No, not it, Chief.
not the one you want to hitch your horse to. But
I'm waiting for the Activision corruption to seep into Microsoft, and then they put a battle pass in Minecraft.
No, no, what the hell?
I don't even want to think
don't
about
think
how
I'd
that'd be
ever see
possible.
that.
When you look into the battle pass void, the battle pass void stares back.
Just get Minecraft skins, animal skins.
Oh,
You can turn
God.
the chicken into a duck, but now you gotta pay for it.
You get a 5% movement speed bonus if you buy the pre-purchase battle pass.
Oh, dude, I hate that. Don't
I
do
don't even
it.
want to talk about that or breathe life into that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, going to a more positive note on games that are doing well. Hogwarts Legacy and Sons of the Forest. Sons of the Forest came out in the last week. It's been absolutely crushing it on Steam. They hit over like 250K concurrent players, which is actually more than Hogwarts Legacy, which again is probably the biggest game right now when you look at all the different platforms.
Because it's
But Sons of the
multiplayer,
Forest
$10.
to a hot start. I know we're excited about it. We haven't dove in quite yet, but know that there's been a lot of excitement. Have you guys seen anything? Connor, I know you're in the YouTube playthrough space a lot more
I
than
have
the rest.
seen a lot, but I'm actively avoiding it because if and when I do play it, I would like to be completely non-spoiled because
Yes.
it looks pretty clean. So
And as a caveat, this is early access, so they've already said like they're going to be adding new things like new areas, new mobs, new weapons, a lot of different game functionality over the next 6 to 8 months while it's in early development, and then it's supposed to like fully release later in the year.
that's
Yeah.
a good point. Do you guys want to do what we did with Grounded, where we waited until the 1.0 released?
I was
Part
kind
of me
of
wants
thinking
to
the
say
same
yes,
thing,
but at the same
but-
time, I'm just like I don't know, man. I miss the forest so much that I want to be able to play it. But
Curtis, you said something?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with waiting till the release because I guess at the beginning, I mean, if we see more content consistently coming out and then buy the game halfway through, then it's a different story. But I mean, putting all that progress in just to have stuff added halfway through the game, personally, I'd rather wait at least a couple months to see what kind of content they're pushing out. But same thing we did with Grounded. As long as it doesn't take like another year, but who
Yeah.
knows?
it's like 6 to 8 months. It
Oh,
probably
is
needs a
it?
year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Assuming that there's at least one delay on something, it's probably going to end up being more than 8 months. If I were to guess, because again, the recent trend is that things just don't get released on time.
Actually, let's do like a little question here. What is the most exciting game you guys are waiting for that has not been announced yet?
Announced.
Just like what we want.
Yeah, like is this like
It
an
could be
imaginary game?
it could
that
be a
we-
company that you're following that they're doing something, but they haven't said whether it's actually going through or not yet. I'll give you an example. Mine is Unknown Worlds, the development studio behind Subnautica, has mentioned that they will be announcing some type of Subnautica content in the future, like a new game. So that's the thing. So they haven't announced it yet, but they say they are potentially working on something. And that's one of my most excited right now. Like, think of one like that.
Man, I don't even know. I mean, off the top of my head,
I'm not
something
sure if
to
I have
mention.
one, but
is
I have a
probably-
I was
game
gonna
that Riot is making that I'm excited about, but they've already announced it and everything, so that's the only caveat
Is that a
too.
fighting game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, besides like Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, obviously they've announced that, but I'm trying to think
Honestly,
if I can.
that's up for grabs. Who even knows if because Microsoft took over
Honestly.
Bethesda, so it's like who even
Yeah.
knows what's going on there.
I don't know, man. I feel like creating another Elder Scrolls game is a no-brainer. It's got such a loyal fan base. Like everybody that played Skyrim is going to pick
I
up
love that
Elder
game.
Scrolls.
Still my number one.
Assuming that it's
yeah.
not the format of Elder Scrolls Online.
I have a family member who is like super hyped for Starfield. And he's just been
Okay,
nonstop
yeah.
messaging me like, "Hey, did you bring that up in the newsletter? Like, hey, I heard
Really?
that Starfield has like a yeah." He's like, "I heard Starfield has like an announcement that just came out. It's like it could come out later this year." I'm like, "Well, it is Microsoft Bethesda now, so I don't know." But Hopefully, when
Yeah,
we see
dude,
more about that, I think that the quality of that game will determine whether I will be hyped for Elder Scrolls 6.
Okay.
I can agree. I can agree with that. Yeah.
But in terms of like I'm not necessarily a game that I even know it's in development or not, but just like a franchise, I'd love to see
Yeah, that works. Let's go for
some
that.
games out of. Better versions of like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones come to mind. Like I love those like sword fighter, like
Yeah.
RPG type games
I could.
Oh, yeah.
I would
that
be down
have
for
really
that.
good single players
Yeah, no, it was a big sword
and
fight
don't
guy.
feel repetitive. Yeah.
Real big sword
That's-
fight guy.
Dude, Witcher 3, God of War, like those, sword fight is not like the right word. I'd say like more like medieval.
I think it's the perfect word. Yeah, no, I heard that a lot of Lord of the Rings games are actually in development right now. I know the Gollum
Yes.
one, it's a stealth game,
Yeah.
but
I'm not super excited about that one. to be
that
honest.
doesn't seem like super crazy. But I know that there are some other ones coming out. I couldn't tell you examples, but they are on the way.
Yeah, because Shadow of Mordor, the first one was super, super good. I think the second
Yeah,
one was
I
good as
loved
well.
it.
It just felt super repetitive in terms of like, I don't know. The map was huge, and it just kind of felt like you were doing the same thing over and over.
It was designed that way because of the monetization, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it would have been an S tier game if it didn't have that grindiness.
Yeah, because the combat felt good.
Yeah.
It's just so repetitive. So I don't know. I didn't finish that game. I finished the first one to completion.
Me too. 100%.
But I would love to see some more creative work done with the Lord of the Rings franchise. And Game of Thrones, I think, could do something interesting as well.
Man, I can't.
I feel like they need to do still some work on their like TV show universe before they go out and release some games. But I think there's something there.
Dude, I'm going to be honest, I still haven't had the stomach to watch House of the Dragon just because of how
I haven't
royally
either.
fucked that last season was.
Apparently, it was
It's
really
good.
good. Yeah.
I know this. I know the House of the Dragon is good. I've heard really good reviews about it. I know it's a good show.
Same.
You don't realize how disheartened I was by the last season of Game of Thrones.
I know you were.
I've never had a more soul crushing experience than that.
Dude,
Yeah.
season 7 ended so good, and then season
Did
8,
it?
it felt like
Season 7 was kind of mid. To,
okay. Season 6.
Season 6 was the
I'm
one that was good because that was
yeah.
Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah,
It had
so
like
once,
two
once
good
we
scenes
got
in it.
once we got towards the end, it was just like beginning, end, and then everything in between. They just took the end and just went like this.
Yeah.
They're like,
I
"Fuck
don't want it.
it." Oh, you're in jail now.
I don't
Okay,
want
awesome.
it. Pissing me
Yeah.
off.
How about you,
man.
Curtis? Anything you're excited for in terms of the game front, either from like something that's been announced or
He did say Elder Scrolls
just-
6. But
Yeah,
Okay,
besides
yeah.
Elder Scrolls 6, I can't really think of anything. I'm kind of looking at my list of games. I know Resident Evil 4 is coming out soon, which is something to look forward to. As for old ones, I know I played a lot of like the Crysis series, if you guys played that at all. Those are some pretty fun games. I think 360 is the last time they had those come out. Other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, to be honest with you. Maybe Shadow of the Colossus. I think that'd be cool to have something, not like a reboot, but kind of like how they did with God of War. I think would be cool.
Yeah, like an actual. I want an actual sequel to that game because that story is really interesting, but it's super cryptic, and we'll never get anything more than what we have from the base game. So more story in Shadow of the Colossus, please.
I feel like
I
that's just in
actually
general,
have another
feel like
game
what they
that I'm
should
excited
do.
about too.
You go ahead, Tusha.
I think we talked about this in earlier podcasts, but the Wolverine game.
Yeah,
The same people who
Okay.
made
Forgot about
the
that,
Spider-Man games. I think it was Insomniac. They're making a Wolverine game. which
I'm
could
game
be
for that shit.
Really, really cool. So
God,
Oh, yeah.
okay.
right.
I'm going crazy here. I remember Wolverine being in one of those like beat 'em up games. Do you remember which one it was? It was like Venom was in it. You could like throw like cars at each other and
I
like
know what you're talking
motorcycles.
about, but I don't know the name of the game.
it wasn't like a
God.
Mortal Kombat style, or was it?
No,
I don't remember.
I don't know, man.
I don't recall any game like that.
I know what you're talking about, Connor, but I just don't know. I'll have to do some research, but
it couldn't have been one of the Spider-Man games, could it?
no. Because the first thing I
Like
thought
the
of
Arrows?
was Spider-Man Web of Shadows, but it's not that one.
Was it
No,
an
it was.
X-Men
It
game?
was. It was.
It was?
Yes, it was early Spider-Man game where you could play as Venom in one of them. You played as Venom, and during that you fought Wolverine.
That's dope.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
How
I'm
about
excited to
that?
see what they do with the next Spider-Man. If they decide to bring more heroes into it and more people from the Spider-Verse outside of like just the. I guess they brought the Sinister Six in the first one.
Spider-Man
but-
2, I'm pretty excited for.
Yeah.
That's another one.
Have they released anything about the story at all for that? Because I've stayed pretty far away from it because I don't want to ruin it.
Well, the only
Besides
thing
Venom?
I know is that Venom is in it. That's pretty much it.
Mhm.
It was Ultimate Spider-Man,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah, for the new one.
Ultimate
Shit,
Spider-Man
okay.
was the game I'm talking
Ultimate
about.
Spider-Man? Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't play as Wolverine, but you did fight him as a boss, as Venom.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, I'm excited for Venom to be in the next Spider-Man, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game.
Mhm.
That's gonna be fun. Hopefully.
Still have to finish the first one. And then I
You
still have
finished the first one?
and I still have to play Miles Morales.
So many games,
I haven't
man.
played Miles Morales yet, but
Oh yeah, man.
I didn't. I
Did
didn't
you,
like
Chris?
Miles
You
Morales.
didn't like it?
No, it just felt like
Ooh.
a DLC to put onto the original Spider-Man. Like the
I
story
have to
just
pick that up and play it to see if he's bullshitting and he's.
I got it
just
on
being a-
sale for relatively pretty cheap, so I'm not.
if you
too
get it
worried
on
about
sale for cheap, it's not that bad. But like they took the original Spider-Man, gave you Miles Morales, and then cut down like the suit abilities, cut down like the items, and then just the story was like cut in half.
Okay.
So it was just kind of. I don't think it was. It was never worth $60 at all. I could see maybe like a $20 expansion, whatever. But
If I can
I
find it on
was,
sale for $20, I'll buy it and give it a play.
yeah. Combat's pretty much the same. You're just playing as Miles, and then you have a
Okay.
slightly different story. But like, I don't want to give out any spoilers, but I mean,
I
it's
feel like we're
relatively old
treading
game.
on ground we've already treaded, though.
It's
Yeah, we
like
have a little bit.
the ending to it is like Eternals, basically.
That makes no sense, but okay.
The end of Eternals, the
We're just
movie.
going in circles, but
Hold on, let me say this.
I feel
quick.
like
The
I
end
need
of
to be
Eternals, the movie.
Rorschach to understand this reference.
The way Eternals ended, you know, where you're just like, okay, whoop, all the way up, and then you're like, okay, what the fuck? That's basically how Spider-Man Miles
All the way
campaign ends.
Nothing can stop me.
I'm all the way up.
Irritated me a lot. but,
I get what you're saying, Curtis.
yeah, I'm just
Oh.
trying not to spoil anything, but I mean, really, who gives a shit
I
about
appreciate that.
Eternals?
I appreciate that. I still don't know what you're talking about, but I appreciate that you're not trying to spoil it for me.
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought that counts. Well, we'll move on to the next thing, so you stop trying to explain the ending without giving it away. I don't feel like you're ever going to be able to do that. It's intuitively not possible. But is there anything else you guys want to touch on? I feel like we chatted. We're already like almost an hour, but
No, I'm
I'm
pretty
all
good.
good.
I think
Yeah,
those are all
I
the
think-
topics I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
There's a lot of hype going on. I like how many good games are coming out. It's just one after the other.
I know we didn't even talk about the Jedi Survivor game, which is coming out next month or a month or so. So it's like the other one big game on the
Yeah,
list.
that comes out soon. I forgot about that.
That's there. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining episode 10 of the podcast, up in the double digits. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell, get notifications. Theoretically, we talked about that at the beginning, but theoretically, you're supposed to get notifications hit the bell, for new podcast releases. Again, go subscribe to our socials. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So.
Peace.